Hi, I'm Sarah. Today I'm going to read you the story of Tasha, which is titled like this: My parents forced me to give my apartment to my brother. You have a job, and he has a young wife and a baby coming soon. But 6 months later, they secretly sold this apartment and bought a house in Florida. So I sued for fraud. Well, let's go. My name is Tasha, and I'm 31 now, working as a software developer at a small tech startup. But let me tell you about my family first, because that's where this whole mess started. My younger brother, Jacob, was always the golden child. When we were kids, he got a new bike for his 10th birthday while I got hand-me-down clothes. When he broke mom's favorite vase playing ball in the house, somehow I got blamed for not watching him properly. I was 12, doing homework in my room when it happened. But that didn't matter. When Jacob wanted to join the expensive travel baseball team, our parents found the money somehow, $3,000 for the season plus travel costs. When I wanted to take piano lessons at $30 a week, they told me we couldn't afford it. I started working at 15, bagging groceries at the local supermarket just to have my own money. Every weekend, 8-hour shifts on my feet, dealing with cranky customers for minimum wage. Meanwhile, Jacob got a $50 weekly allowance for basically existing. He'd blow it on video games while I saved every penny for things I needed: school supplies, clothes that actually fit, the occasional movie with friends. Senior year, Jacob crashed Dad's car doing something stupid with his friends. Dad grumbled, but bought him his own used Honda. Boys will be boys, Mom said. When I asked for help buying a car to get to my job in school, Dad laughed. You can take the bus. Builds character. 5 years ago, everything shifted. Dad lost his job when his company downsized. 20 years with the company, and they gave him 2 weeks severance. Mom was only working part-time as a supermarket cashier, maybe 20 hours a week at $12 an hour. One night, she called me crying so hard I could barely understand her. Tasha, sweetheart, I didn't want to burden you with this, she sobbed. But we're going to lose the house. We're 3 months behind on the mortgage. They're sending foreclosure notices. She cried for 20 minutes, ugly gasping sobs that made my chest tight. Then came the ask. Could you maybe help us? Just temporarily until Dad finds something. I had just gotten promoted at my startup, making $85,000 a year. The timing felt like fate. How much do you need, Mom? The mortgage is $1,800 and utilities, insurance, maybe $2,500 total. I know it's so much to ask. I'll set up an automatic transfer. Mom cried harder, but these were grateful tears. You're saving us, sweetie. We'll never forget this. As soon as Dad gets a job, we'll pay you back every penny. That was 5 years ago. They never paid back a dime. 3 years ago, I bought my own apartment. Nothing fancy, just a 2-bedroom place in a decent neighborhood. I'd saved every penny I could, even while helping my parents. Skipped vacations, drove a 15-year-old Toyota, ate ramen more often than I'd like to admit. The down payment of $40,000 wiped out my savings, and I took on a $180,000 mortgage, but it was mine. I was so proud the day I got the keys. I actually cried standing in my empty living room. During all this, Jacob was in college. My parents never mentioned struggling to pay his tuition state school, but still $15,000 a year. I found out why when Mom let it slip during Thanksgiving dinner. Thank goodness you've been helping us, Tasha. We couldn't have afforded Jacob's college otherwise. I nearly choked on my turkey. Wait, what? You've been using my money for his tuition. Dad jumped in, not even looking ashamed. Family helps family. Jacob needed an education. It's your duty as his older sister. You had scholarships. He didn't. We had to make sure he had the same opportunities. I wanted to scream, but what was the point? The money was already spent. $60,000 of my money on his education, and nobody thought to tell me. Jacob graduated and got a job as a junior manager at some trading company. His salary was maybe $35,000, but he acted like he'd made it big. New clothes, new phone, taking weekend trips. A year later, he met Sarah at some bar. Pretty blonde, worked as a receptionist somewhere. Within 6 months, he proposed with a ring that I'm pretty sure my parents helped pay for. With my money. The family dinner came a month before his wedding. I should have known something was up when Mom made my favorite lasagna. She never made my favorite anything. The whole setup felt weird. The good china, Dad wearing his nice shirt. Even Jacob showed up on time for once. Tasha, Dad started after we'd eaten, using his serious voice. We need to discuss something important as a family. Jacob's getting married. They need a place to live. My stomach dropped. I knew where this was going, but I hoped I was wrong. Mom jumped in. Sarah's 3 months pregnant. They need stability for the baby. That's great for them, I said carefully. I'm sure they'll find something nice. Apartments are reasonable right now if you look in the right areas. Actually, Dad said, leaning forward, we think you should give them your apartment. The words hung in the air. I laughed. It had to be a joke. But their faces stayed serious. Dead serious. I'm sorry. What? You want me to give them my apartment that I bought with my own money that I'm still paying off? That's when the waterworks started. Mom's tears right on cue. We raised you better than this, Tasha. How can you be so selfish? This is your nephew. We're talking about an innocent baby. Dad piled on. We sacrificed everything for you kids. Your mother worked doubles when you were young. I worked overtime every week. And now when your brother needs help, you turn your back. Sarah finally spoke up, one hand on her still flat stomach. I guess I thought family meant something different. In my family, we help each other. But if you want your nephew born into instability. Oh, cut the crap, I snapped. You've known Jacob for a year. Don't lecture me about family. Tasha. Mom gasped. Apologize right now. For what? For not handing over my home to your golden child. Jacob finally opened his mouth. It's not like that, Tasha. We just need some help getting started. You remember how hard it was starting out, right? Yeah, I do. I worked 3 jobs in college. I lived in a studio with cockroaches. I saved every penny. What I don't remember is anyone offering me a free apartment. You're being dramatic, Dad said. We're not asking you to give it to them. Just let them stay there while they save up for their own place. For how long? 6 months, Mom said quickly. A year at most. And where am I supposed to live? You can rent a nice studio, Mom said. There are lots of options. I saw one online for only $1,200 a month. Only $1,200 on top of my $1,800 mortgage. Jacob will pay you something, Dad said. Right, son? Jacob nodded eagerly. Of course, we'll work out something fair. They kept at it for 2 more hours. Mom cried 3 separate times. Dad questioned my character, my values, whether I was really his daughter if I could be this heartless. Sarah talked about the baby until I wanted to scream. Jacob made promises about payment he'd never keep. This is emotional blackmail, I said. We'll make it work, Dad said quickly before I could change my mind. You won't regret this, sweetheart. I found a tiny studio apartment the next week, 500 square feet for $1,200 a month in a building with no laundry. My beautiful apartment had a unit washer/dryer, a dishwasher, central air. This place had a window unit that sounded like a jet engine and a radiator that clanged all night in winter. Jacob and Sarah moved into my apartment immediately. They didn't even offer to help me move my stuff out. I had to rent a storage unit for most of my furniture. Another $150 a month I couldn't afford. The first month, no compensation. I texted Jacob. Hey, just checking about the monthly payment we discussed. Things are tight with the baby coming. Can we talk about it later? I called Mom. Jacob isn't paying anything. Oh, Tasha, don't be greedy. He's your brother. You know how expensive babies are. Cribs, car seats, diapers. Have some compassion. Month 2, same story. Month 3, I stopped asking. I was hemorrhaging money, but what could I do? They were family, and I'd already given in. I kept in touch with Jacob through texts, mostly asking if everything was okay with the apartment. He'd send photos showing Sarah had decorated it nicely, new curtains I recognized from Pottery Barn, some expensive-looking plants, throw pillows that probably cost more than my weekly groceries. For months in, I decided to stop by unannounced. I still had my keys, but I rang the doorbell first to be polite. It was a Saturday afternoon. They had to be home. Jacob's voice came through the door. Who is it? It's me, Tasha. I need to grab some winter clothes. You should call first. We're not decent. Come back another time. Something felt off. Why wouldn't he just let me wait 5 minutes while they got dressed? I left, but the uneasy feeling stayed. I called my Aunt Rita, Mom's sister. She lived 2 blocks from my apartment and had always been the reasonable one in the family. Hey, Aunt Rita, could you do me a favor? Maybe walk by my apartment sometime, see if anything seems weird. I'll check it out, honey. A week later, she called me. I was at work debugging code when my phone rang. Tasha, honey, are you sitting down? There's a for sale sign in front of your apartment building. That doesn't mean anything. Someone else might be selling. I saw a realtor showing your unit yesterday. Your exact unit. I pretended to be interested and tagged along with the group. That's impossible. You must be mistaken. I'm texting you a photo right now. The photo came through. There it was, a big Century 21 sign. For sale. 2-bedroom luxury condo. My floor, my unit number visible in the realtor's listing photos online. My hand shook as I found the listing. My apartment, with photos clearly taken recently, Sarah's decorations, the pink nursery, even their wedding photo on my mantle. Listed for $275,000. I called the realtor, my voice surprisingly steady. Hi, I saw the listing for the 2-bedroom on Maple Street. Oh yes. Beautiful property. The sellers are very motivated. We already have several offers, so if you're interested, I'd move quickly. They dropped the price from $285,000 just yesterday. I hung up and drove straight to my parents' house, breaking probably every traffic law on the way. They were having coffee in the kitchen, calm as could be, like they hadn't just destroyed my entire life. What the hell did you do? Mom's face went pale. Dad sat down his cup slowly, deliberately. What are you talking about? Dad asked, but his voice was too casual. My apartment, the one with the for sale sign in front of it. The one with strangers traipsing through it. That apartment. They exchanged glances. That guilty look that told me everything. They knew. They'd known all along. Listen, Mom said, reaching for my hand. I pulled away. We need money for retirement. We found a perfect little house in Florida. It's a good investment. An investment with my apartment? Are you insane? You'll inherit the Florida house eventually, Dad said, like that made it okay. It's really an investment in your future, too. I don't want a house in Florida when you die. I want my apartment now. Don't be dramatic, Mom said. You make good money. You can buy another apartment. Better than that tiny place even. We're doing you a favor. A favor? You're stealing from me. Stealing is a strong word, Dad said. We're your parents. We're redistributing family resources more efficiently. You can't sell my apartment. It's in my name. You'd need my signature. Dad pulled out a folder from the kitchen drawer. He'd been prepared for this. He'd been waiting. Actually, we can. Jacob has power of attorney. My blood went cold. A year ago, I'd signed a power of attorney for Jacob to handle some paperwork when I was traveling for work, one specific transaction dealing with my car registration while I was at a conference. They'd kept it and were using it now. That was for one thing, one specific thing. This is fraud. It's family, Mom said, like that explained everything. The buyer already put down a deposit. $20,000. The sale closes in 2 weeks. And where exactly is Jacob supposed to live? We found them a nice studio in Queens. Very affordable, only $800 a month. Much more appropriate for a young couple starting out. You're downsizing them after stealing my apartment? Dad stood up, his face red. You want to know the truth? Fine. We deserve this. We raised 2 kids. We worked our whole lives. We scrimped and saved while you lived in luxury. That apartment should have been ours anyway. We're your parents. You've been taking my money for 5 years, and we appreciated it, Mom said. But this is different. This is our future, our retirement. Don't you want us to be happy? By committing fraud? Dad laughed. Actually laughed. You're not going to do anything about it. You won't send your own parents to jail. You won't destroy your brother's life with a criminal record. You'll complain. You'll cry. But in the end, you'll accept it because that's what you do, Tasha. You accept things. You don't know me at all. We know you better than you know yourself, Mom said. You've always been the responsible one. The one who does the right thing, and the right thing here is to support your family. They kept arguing, justifying, explaining why this theft was actually a gift to me. How I'd thank them someday. How the Florida house would be worth millions eventually. How I was too young to be tied down to property anyway. You won't do anything, Dad said finally. You never do. Remember when Jacob broke your laptop in high school? You just accepted it. When we gave your car to him after you bought yourself a new one, you said nothing. You're not going to start standing up to us now. I walked out without another word. But Dad was wrong. Dead wrong. First, I drove to my apartment. My apartment. Damn it. I banged on the door for 5 minutes before Jacob finally answered. Tasha, this isn't a good time. Open the door, or I'm calling the cops right now. He opened it a crack, using the chain. You need to leave. This is my apartment. Not anymore, Sarah's voice came from inside. We're the legal residents now. And if you don't leave, I'm calling the police for harassment. You're stealing my home. Sarah appeared beside Jacob, her hand on her belly that was definitely showing now. You're overreacting. If you don't leave, I'm calling 911. I'll tell them you're threatening me. That's a lie. Who do you think they'll believe? Sarah smiled, a nasty little smile. The pregnant woman or the crazy sister-in-law screaming at our door? Jacob, please. You know this is wrong. He looked at me then, really looked at me, and for a second, I thought I saw guilt. Then he closed the door in my face. I'm getting a lawyer, I shouted through the door. Good luck with that, Sarah shouted back. Your daddy said you'd never actually do it. He knows his good little girl better than that. I went straight to a lawyer the next morning. Mark Hoffman came highly recommended and very expensive, $400 an hour, but I didn't care. I laid out the whole story, showed him the power of attorney, the listing, everything. This is clear fraud, he said. The power of attorney was for a specific purpose and time period. They can't use it for anything else. We'll file criminal charges and get an emergency injunction to stop the sale. Do it. Whatever it takes. The police were at my parents' house that afternoon. The sale was frozen immediately. The buyer was furious, but got their deposit back. Jacob and Sarah were served with eviction papers. They had 30 days to get out. My phone exploded with messages. Mom, Dad, Jacob, all begging me to reconsider. I blocked them all. Then came the letters, emails to my work address, even flowers with apology notes. Mom wrote 10 pages about how I was destroying the family, complete with photos of happier times. Dad sent a formal letter basically calling me ungrateful and threatening to disown me, as if I cared about inheritance from people who'd steal from me. Jacob's wife, Sarah, actually had the nerve to email me ultrasound photos, trying to guilt me about the baby. I sent one response through my lawyer. Any further contact will be considered harassment and will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. The eviction went through. Jacob and Sarah moved in with her parents in New Jersey. The criminal case against my father proceeded. The DA offered him a plea deal, 2 years probation and $10,000 in fines. His lawyer advised him to take it. 2 weeks after the eviction, I got a call from Aunt Rita. Your mom showed up at my house, hysterical. They're losing their house. The bank is foreclosing. They haven't paid the mortgage in 3 months because I stopped sending them money. Rita was quiet for a moment. Jesus, Tasha, how much did you give them? About $150,000 over 5 years. Good for you, honey. Stand your ground. Word spread through the family quickly. Turns out I wasn't the only one my parents had tried to scam. They'd borrowed money from my mom's brother, claiming medical bills, but he found out they used it for a vacation. They told my dad's sister they needed money for emergency home repairs, then bought a new car. One by one, relatives started reaching out to me. Not my parents' flying monkeys, but support. But the best call came from my grandmother, my dad's mom, who I hadn't spoken to in years because my parents always said she was difficult. Tasha, dear, I heard what happened. I'm changing my will. Your parents won't see a penny. I'm leaving everything to you and your cousins. Your parents are cut out completely. 3 months after the eviction, Mom showed up at my office. I was in a meeting when reception called. There's a woman here claiming to be your mother. She's upset. I could hear Mom screaming in the background. I went down to the lobby. She looked terrible, Hair unwashed, clothes wrinkled, aged 10 years in 3 months. Tasha, you have to help us. We're living in our car. I'm your mother. No, you're a criminal who tried to steal my home. She lunged at me, actually tried to grab me. Security stepped in immediately. Ma'am, you need to leave, or we'll call the police. Call them, she screamed. My daughter is a heartless monster. She destroyed her family. She sent her father to jail. He sent himself to jail by committing fraud, I said calmly. Security banned Mom from the building. Dad tried showing up a week later, but got the same treatment. They tried ambushing me at my apartment, but I'd installed cameras and called the cops immediately. They were issued a restraining order. Jacob tried a different approach. He had his wife's family call me. Sarah's mom left a voicemail. Tasha, this is Linda, Sarah's mother. Your brother and Sarah are struggling. The baby's due soon. Whatever happened between you and your parents, don't punish an innocent baby. I didn't respond, but I did some digging. Turns out Jacob and Sarah were fine. Her parents owned a successful plumbing business. They had a nice 4-bedroom house with a guest house where Jacob and Sarah were living rent-free. They weren't struggling at all. It was just another manipulation tactic. The family gossip network, led by Aunt Rita, kept me informed. My parents were staying with different relatives, wearing out their welcome quickly. They'd stay a week here, a few days there, always with sob stories about their cruel daughter who abandoned them. But relatives were comparing notes. Uncle Tom told Aunt Rita about the $50,000 request. She told him about finding out about my apartment. My cousin Jennifer connected the dots about the borrowed money. Within 2 months, my parents had burned every bridge. They're living in a shelter now, Rita told me over coffee. Won't admit it, but my friend volunteers there and saw them. 6 months after everything exploded, I got a letter from Jacob. An actual paper letter since I'd blocked him everywhere else. Tasha, I know you hate me. I don't blame you. I've been thinking a lot since Emma was born. Yeah, we had a daughter. Sarah almost died during delivery. It was scary. And all I could think was how I'd want Emma's family to rally around her if she needed help. I'm sorry. I knew what Mom and Dad were doing was wrong. I knew they were using your money for my college. I knew the apartment thing was fraud. I didn't care because I benefited. I'm not asking for forgiveness or money or anything else. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry. I'm working 2 jobs now to support my family. Sarah's parents help, but I want to do it myself. Maybe someday I'll be half the person you are. Your brother, if you still consider me that, Jacob. I read it 3 times. Then I threw it away. Maybe someday I'd be ready to forgive him. But not today. Not when I was still paying off therapy bills to process the trauma of being betrayed by my entire family. My apartment felt different now. I'd redecorated, removing any trace of Jacob and Sarah's brief occupation. New furniture, new art, new energy. It was fully mine again. My cousin Jennifer came over for wine one evening. You know, the family's having Thanksgiving at my mom's place. You're invited. Your parents aren't. I went to Thanksgiving. It was weird seeing the empty spaces where my parents and Jacob would have been, but it was also liberating. No one making snide comments about my job. No one comparing me unfavorably to Jacob. No one asking for money. Grandma pulled me aside after dinner. I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself. Your parents always treated you like a second-class citizen. I should have said something years ago. The last update I got about my parents was from Aunt Rita about a month ago. They're living in a tiny apartment in Camden. Your dad's working as a night janitor. Your mom's at Walmart. They're still telling anyone who will listen that you ruined their lives. It's been a year now since I discovered the for sale sign. I still work at the same startup, though I've been promoted twice. My apartment's value has gone up $30,000. I'm dating someone new, Mike, who can't believe my family story. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I just kept quiet, let them sell my apartment, kept being the family ATM. I'd probably be broke, living in that tiny studio forever while they lived it up in Florida. Instead, I'm here, my apartment, my life, my choices. Mom still sends letters occasionally, forwarded through relatives since the restraining order prevents direct contact. I don't read them anymore. Rita told me the latest one was all about how I'm going to hell for dishonoring my parents. Pretty sure fraud is a bigger sin, Rita said. The thing about being the scapegoat kid is you think it's normal. You think all families operate this way, one golden child who can do no wrong, one scapegoat who exists to serve everyone else. It took them trying to steal my home to finally wake me up. My therapist says I'm making good progress. Yeah, I started seeing someone to process all this. Turns out years of being treated like a second-class citizen in your own family leaves marks. Do you regret pressing charges? She asked in our last session. No, I regret not standing up for myself sooner. What about reconciliation? Would you ever consider it? They'd have to admit what they did was wrong first. Really admit it, not just say sorry to get access to my money again. I think they won't. And I'm okay with that. Some bridges are meant to stay burned. Some family isn't worth keeping. I still have family, though. Aunt Rita, Uncle Tom, Cousin Jennifer, Grandma, the relatives who saw through my parents' manipulation and chose truth over enabling. That's my real family now. As for Jacob, I saw him once about a month ago. I was getting coffee, and he was there with Emma in a stroller. We made eye contact. He started to approach, then stopped. He nodded. I nodded back. Then we went our separate ways. Maybe someday we'll talk, maybe we won't. Either way, I'm good. The startup's doing great, by the way. We just got Series B funding. My stock options are worth something now. Not retirement money, but enough that I could buy another apartment if I wanted. Sometimes I think about telling my parents about it. How their scapegoat daughter, the one they said would never amount to anything, is thriving. But then I remember they don't deserve to know anything about my life anymore.